Ben Zinser, thanks for talking to me. You clean houses, commercial, and then commercial property. You're doing a lot of sanitizing work now. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes, a lot of fogging, a lot of misting, electrostatic stuff.
Excellent. And I wanted to talk to someone like you for the mom and pop shops in small towns that are opening up. Imagine you've got a gift shop or an antique shop where you can reach out your hand and almost touch both sides. What can they do to stay clean and safe and understand what's involved in this new world we're in, where customers want to know, are you doing the right things so it's safe for them to come in?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the first question that I would ask them is, has your business still been open at all? Have you had little bits of people in, or has it been completely closed? And I ask that because if their business has been closed and they're about to do a reopen, they actually don't need to do a disinfecting service. So they don't need to have me come in there and do a fogging or a misting, because if it's been more than 3 days, there's nothing in there virus-wise that's going to be a problem that's living. So there's no need to spend all that money right up at front. But however, once they do open up, they're going to want to really be careful of how many people they have going through there. I would say you would want to be noticing, what are people touching? The first thing is, of course, everybody talks about the areas of the business or space that are high touch points, right? Your doorknobs, handles. In an antique shop, I'm sure people want to pick things up and look at those things. It's kind of that's what you do at an antique shop, for instance. But that's maybe something you want to look at, trying to limit as much as possible, or just being around the customers as much as possible and assisting them, kind of limiting things as much as you can. I would say there is a place for that disinfecting service to come through, though. As you open up, if you're just going to open up and everybody's coming in, that is awesome. I mean, we want to see people coming into these businesses again. But I would say I'm an advocate for every night you have to be doing something to go through that business, clean your countertops, clean your floors, clean your doors and windows. It can be a lot. There's a lot you need to do to stay on top of it. And even that, I mean, there's still going to be some risk associated with opening up your business.
Well, let's just start with talking about some of the main touch points, because that's something you have to kind of map out. And it's noticing it ever since this started. Like, it's amazing how many times I touched something someone else occurred. I think it may be very rare before I go back to a buffet, because everyone's touching the handle and I didn't think of that. The same spoon, and so forth. Right. So talk about mapping out the touch points as a beginning place.
Well, I mean, I think the first thing you want to do, step outside your store and look at it from a customer's perspective. The very first thing they're probably going to be touching are your door handles. So, you should constantly be wiping those door handles. And even if you have the possibility for instance, with our commercial clients, we have put kind of a hand sanitizing station. It's nothing, high dollar or anything like that. It's just, that's what we call it. A place for some wet wipes and some hand sanitizer that they can use and be encouraged to use before they even enter the store. Use these things before you get in here. It's just one more step you can do to kind of protect yourself. As you go in, you may want to show them, a kind of a specific walkway through the store, and even have some other hand sanitizing stations throughout the store. It's actually a fairly cheap thing to put together. A little bit of space there. Encourage them maybe to not always touch all of the items. And then, of course, make sure that they know that there are restroom facilities that are open for them to wash their hands if need be. But definitely your touch points, your high traffic areas, those will need to be cleaned as often as possible throughout the day. And that could also, of course, lead to higher expenses for a business. You're paying more time, whether it's for a cleaning company or for your employees to be there and go through that in order to provide more safety to your clients.
So the possibility also of having friendly signs on the door to let people know. I think people are starting to look for those signs as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think to be very simple about it, you have people want to know, hey, what can and can't I do in this particular premises?
Right.
And I think most reasonable people have no problem with looking at that and saying, hey, you know what, they're requiring a face mask and hand sanitizer. Is that really that big of a deal?
Mm-hmm.
Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't like it, I understand. Some people don't. But, I think it's pretty reasonable to be offering those and put it in there and letting customers and clients know, hey, this is kind of how we'd like you to move through the store while we're kind of, navigating through all of this. It may be a little bit different, but please have some patience with us. Our ultimate goal is to make sure everybody's safe and COVID free, so to speak, as we walk out of the store.
So possibly lines on the store, and then also some basic instructions on it. What I'm finding, at least, is especially food establishments often are requiring to wear a face mask. Not everyone else is, but the first thing is regularly wiping down that initial door handle and so forth. Is what you're saying. And then what is low cost, effective ways to clean it that a small shop could get?
Yeah, we have a particular commercial client. They just had massive stocks of cans of Lysol in their storage trailer. So we said, hey, you've already got this. We don't need to spend any more money. Can we put cans of Lysol in various areas so that our cleaners can go through, and every night that our cleaners are there, hey, we're going to go down, we're going to spray all these areas with Lysol. It can be a little pungent sometimes, but there's also nobody there. Mm-hmm. So by the time people are back in the morning, there's really not much of a smell left, but all those highly touched surfaces have been disinfected because the Lysol got to sit on there and have some dwell time to actually do its job. And those things can be kind of hard to find sometimes. It probably even depends on the time of day that you go into a store to try to get some of those things. It doesn't have to necessarily be expensive to disinfect. It's just a little intensive. It's going to take time, and you have to give it that time and be patient with it.
So diluted bleach versus vinegar versus hydrogen peroxide. We're cleaning the doors. Let's talk about where to start with that.
Yeah. I mean, we try to stay away from bleach too much. Mm-hmm. Bleach can be pretty harsh. Hydrogen peroxide is a phenomenal thing. We actually use a natural disinfectant solution. We have wonderful results with it, and it cleans excellent. And we happen to just take a look at it maybe a month and a half to 2 months ago. Hey, what is in this? What does this actually do? And that's when we actually found out, because I didn't buy it for disinfecting purposes. I bought it for cleaning purposes. And it turns out that the materials, the compounds that are in this cleaner are natural disinfectants. So once again, in cleaning that surface, if you've left if you've left it wet for a period of time, usually, minimum 60 seconds, minimum of a minute.
Okay.
Let it do its job. Well, we've now gone through and cleaned and disinfected as well as we could with every cleaning service. I didn't have to charge anymore for using that product. We're not looking to do any of that kind of nonsense. But there are products that are very good. Bleach, we stay away from. Only in the kind of really bad circumstances are we going to whip that out. But peroxide is a great natural cleaner. It's a lot less. It's easier to work with.
So hydrogen peroxide, people don't know, but you can get food grade hydrogen peroxide, as well. and dilute it if you want. I get it 35%. Now you got to watch it; they'll burn your hands, and then dilute it down to a 3% mix. So would you say a 3% mix of hydrogen peroxide? Just know if you leave it on an open cut or something, it's going to burn. Would be and so you might wipe it down with hydrogen peroxide. I'm just taking the door. And then let it sit a little bit damp. Is that right? For what was the time period?
The biggest thing is, you could spray a door handle or even put Lysol on it. But if you just immediately dry it and get everything off of there, it hasn't had time to actually kill any bacteria or viruses on that surface. Mm-hmm. The key is a dwell time. It's, sitting time. It has to sit there and be allowed to do its work. So as a general rule, when we send our teams in to do places, we've kind of reworked how you're going about cleaning the space. Mm-hmm. It's not a little thing, although it might seem like it, but 3 minutes can add up when you're talking these jobs and people at your jobs. So we need to rework things, spray things down first and go start something else, move in, but give everything the time it needs to do its job. That way you can walk out of that building, knowing that you did what you should have done, doing it the right way. 3 to 5% peroxide, that's a good mix. And yes, wear gloves. It's always best. Wear some gloves, no matter what you're doing. Just protect your hands.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Now, you see in hospitals, they have these ultraviolet sterilizers. And then I've also, there's someone I knew years ago that for cars with bad smells, they would use an ozone generator as well.
Yes.
You kind of talk about that. There's actually a health food store that has an ozone generator they kind of have running in the background at a real low level to just kind of break down some of the molecular. Of course, it can break down rubber and things like that too. So you have to understand how these different systems work.
Yeah, we have a pretty massive ozone generator that we used on industrial spaces. Our particular generator can do spaces of up to 12,500 square feet at a time. Mm-hmm. And you are absolutely correct. You have got to be very careful when working around ozone. Mm-hmm. We always require when we do a service that there be nobody present. Mm-hmm. And I'll go in and I'll set it up on, say, a Friday night. Mm-hmm. And you don't need to be putting out so much ozone that it creates ozone itself creates a pretty distinct smell, kind of like a chlorinated pool. Mm-hmm. And it does a phenomenal job. And it gets everywhere, obviously, because it's going through your ductwork and everything. But we don't do it when there's anybody around, and we then will set it to run for a particular period of time, and then it will shut off automatically and move air around for the next. In some cases, we leave it going for 2 days just to be safe with everything. And we know it works when we walk in there, and there's just a hint of that chlorinated pool smell. Mm-hmm. We've kind of hit it just right, so to speak. But you've got it. Ozone can be very dangerous. You can leave it on so high ozone, not that you necessarily use it for this purpose, but it is also it can be a pest killer. If you put out a lot of ozone into a smaller space, it can kill. So it can be dangerous. You've got to use it very carefully.
Well, it's an oxidizer, so you understand it's that look. If you want to research it, it's looking up. It's getting that extra molecule that it loves to grab hold of things like viruses and other organic material, and it literally breaks it down. The problem is it's an irritant to human beings. So I think you may want to have some counsel with it, but this is another option potentially at a low level. I would say anything like this, get professional counsel, maybe setting something up. That might be something, even if they were outside your range, you might be able to give some remote counsel on or something, how
definitely. I would say we err on the side of caution. Yeah. I would never run an ozone machine at any level with anybody being around. most likely at a very low level,
Mhm.
not going to have problems. I just prefer not to enter into that arena at all.
Right. So it might be at night running at a low level or something like that, but still,
Exactly.
again,
Exactly.
get professional counsel. So a shop might
Yes.
have it, because you can get them fairly expensive, but possibly running at night and at extremely low level to kind of sterilize the place.
Yeah, you want to do that. You want to keep it clean too, because you have once the plates that help generate that ozone in those machines, once they get dirty, they're going to become less effective. For instance, in our ozone machine, there are 22 glass plates, and those plates are what actually collect the what's being taken out of the air, right? Those plates, if you don't clean them, if you don't take them out, remove them, clean them, let them completely dry, your ozone machine is not going to be as effective as you think it is. You may still get some of the smell that you're looking for, but it doesn't mean it's necessarily doing its job as well as it could be either. So just, there's maintenance to everything that you do in order to keep things working at a top notch.
And then the other one you're seeing is UV lights. Would you talk about that? Because hospitals are using that, but that could get kind of pricey, utilizing that as some seem to say that's can be more effective than cleaning in an industrial environment.
I'm going to be very straight with you. I do not use UV lighting about, and I've read up on it. I've seen UV being attached with ozone generators as well. It sounds like it should be extremely effective. I just haven't done any research on the UV aspect of it to talk with any knowledge.
Sure, absolutely.
But I would say, from what I've heard, and it's very little, that it makes sense. It would be extremely effective if done well.
Sure. So we've got those as possibilities in the business. Maybe, again, talk to a professional with this, but maybe running at a low level during the evening and then have time to get in early and let it air out. But I love your idea. My view is, with something like ozone, if you smell it, it's too strong for the, non-professional blast level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you almost want it to be like you haven't been there.
Right. That's it.
And it's a fine line.
Yeah.
You can keep it running for just a little bit too long, and then it feels like it takes a whole day just to get rid of that smell. Sure. Well, that's not what we want to do either.
No.
That makes it an uncomfortable place to be at.
And then we talked about cleaning with the fact that they might be able to look into hydrogen peroxide and dilute it to cut down costs for them. Just be careful, it burns. I use it in the kitchen. I'm just want to make sure I've got stuff that cleans. That's kind of higher. And then maybe really kind of watching out the overexposure of bleach.
Yes. Yeah. Bleach is one of the things that we, like I said, we use it very rarely because we found other ways of cleaning that don't require it.
Right.
And it's safer for the client, but it's also safer for our employees.
Right.
I don't want to be exposing them to chemicals that they don't need to be a part of, which is why we've gone, for the most part, we've been able to go virtually chemical free. When we're definitely when we're cleaning residences, we use almost zero chemical at this point, and we have fabulous results. And I can talk to anybody about that, to give them some coaching on that too.
Excellent. And then have clear signs of what you're doing. I mean, that's a marketing feature. We care. We so many times a day clean the doors or something, but make sure you're consistent. Don't mislead on this,
Yeah. Tell people what your expectation is when they enter your business. I think it makes them more comfortable as well. Hey, here's kind of what's expected. Here's how we're going to move through everything, and we'll try to make it as enjoyable a time as possible.
And look if there's ways to be less touchless in your business too.
There are, that's actually a big deal right now. We have been working with our commercial clients to get their bathrooms outfitted with all touchless dispensers. And we have some great partners that we work with in order to accomplish that. And in many cases, it can be done at a very, very low or no cost, depending on what they're choosing and how they want to go about doing that. And it's legit. I thought it was kind of a joke at first, like, really, you're going to give me a hand sanitizing station for free? Yep, we'll even professionally install it. I just, if you commit to buying our products to rebuild it, then we'll go through and do it. And it works out beautifully for my clients.
That's great. They might look into the area to see if there's something available with that as well, to find out. It's just like bathrooms. Now, I wish all bathrooms had that little foot thing you could grab with your foot and open the door.
At the bottom of the
now
door.
that I'm paying more attention to it,
Right. So that's the deal.
So that's excellent. Well, thanks for giving a few tips on this. Now, would you be kind enough to tell people how they can reach you, and if they're outside the area, if you're available for consultation, for example, remotely, or, like what domain they can reach you on?
Yeah, so we definitely, this whole situation has actually been hard for us. We like to be in front of people. I like to spend time with people. Face-to-face is really kind of my thing. So my first go-to would be, give me a call. I'll always answer my phone. My phone number, if you'd like me to get that, 603-275-4131. Yes, it's a New Hampshire number. I couldn't bring myself to change the number. I've had it for so long.
Right.
But call me. I'm not looking to make money off of nonsense. I would be happy to share whatever good knowledge I've been able to gain with anybody that wants to talk. If you want some ideas or something that I can do to help your business, absolutely, we'd love to help you. We do have a website, cjbcleans.com. We definitely go there. We have a growing Facebook presence, trying to be a little bit more on top of Facebook. The digital stuff has been harder for me to kind of grasp and get a hold of. But we've had great results with that. Facebook has been actually really phenomenal for us. And I've learned how to kind of get back to people really quickly through Facebook. So those are the three main areas that people can get in touch with us. We would love to talk with anybody and help anybody out, especially during this time. We need to help each other out.
And I want to thank Steve Han with BNI because he's a good friend, and you're very in a BNI group as well. And I went, who would know somebody that would be willing to do this? Because a lot of you guys are just so busy. I had to catch you on a Saturday morning just to catch you now working. And I want to thank Steve Han and BNI. It's excellent. The BNI of this whole triangle area is just fantastic. And you're in a BNI group. So I'm going to say if they're a business in the Raleigh area and want to come as a visitor for you, reach out as well.
Absolutely. Steve Han has been a phenomenal person to know. He's a guy that actually genuinely cares about business and the business owners. He's looking to help. So he's been phenomenal for me personally. He spent some time with me, and just a great guy to know and connect with. BNI, I was not a believer at first. When I first started it, I'm thinking, why would I do this? But BNI has been excellent, not only because I have gotten so many referrals, but because of who is around me in that room. As a newer business owner, the one thing I think I did right in all this is realizing that there's so much I have no idea of what I'm doing. And BNI had so many people that kind of, the veterans had kind of been around, they've gone through things, and these guys came alongside and mentored me and helped us get to where we are, and they continue to help us. So BNI is, as far as I'm concerned, that's one of the best business moves I've ever made.
Yes, and they have fantastic training too. Now, I've known them for many years, and even their online training they offer when you're a member is pretty powerful.
Yes, it is.
They kind of teach you how to network inside the system. So, excellent.
Phenomenal.
Well, I'll put the information below to reach you. Thanks so much. And I invite people at least contact you, and you'll say if you're in the range or out of the range, or point them in the right direction.
Absolutely. That would be much appreciated. I appreciate that.
Thanks for your time, Ben. This was excellent.
You got it. Thanks so much, Martin.